Okay, everybody, let's recap the lesson. So what we're doing today is adding graphs. So, the first example and the second example have to do with the story problem. So they're talking about two new virtual reality games. We've got tracking parrots, the orange belly parrot and the yellow parrots, okay? So they're going to say the orange bill parrot is b of x, and the orange is h of x, okay? So we graphed both. Here is b of x, and here is h of x. So there's b of x and h of x, okay? What we want to do is add the graphs. So how do we add the graphs? Well, what it is all the corresponding y values. Add the y values, add the y values. To find the y values, we went over to this chart and we plugged in some numbers. So what I did for an example is I plugged in -4 into b of x. So I just started plugging in numbers. Hold on to get a calculator works. So I started plugging in numbers. So I went, okay, for example, I went -18. Hold on. I went -18 times -4 plus 120, and I get an answer. And then I plugged the -4 into the other function, into this one. So the same thing, I went 4 times -4 squared minus 5 times -4 plus 25, and I got an answer. And then I added the two graphs. So I added the heights. I added that, plus that I got 301. So I did the same thing. I plugged -2 into this function. I got 156. I plugged -2 into this function. I got 51. I'm just not going to show it. I added the 2, and I got 207. Plugged 0 into this function, and I got 120. I plugged 0 into this function. I get 25. I added the 2, and I get 145. I plugged 2 into this function. I got 84. And I plugged 2 into this function. I got 31. I added the two functions, and I got 115. I plugged 4 into this function. I got 48, and I plugged 4 into this function. I got 68. I added two y values. I got 117. So then I can go back to my graph, and I can add those heights. So I went to 301. So at -4, I went to 301. It's about there. I went at -2 to 207. -2 to 207 is about there. At 0, I went to 145. Is about there. At 2, I went to 115, and I went about there. And then finally at 4, I went to about 117 out of that. So then I can draw on the graph. So this red graph is b of x graph plus h of x. So if I add the two graphs, it's like adding all the y values, and I'm able to do it. Now there's a much easier way. Of course, if we want to just add them, we just added them. So if I went back to here, and I went b of x plus a of x, I just added 4x squared minus 23x plus 145. And if you were to graph this on Desmos, it would look like that. And that's all I had for the lesson today. And then we went through and talked more about subtracting them. So you do the exact same thing with subtracting. You plug all these values in. We can subtract the values, right? And then you graph them, and you get the corresponding graph, okay? Hi, Ani.
Hi, can I hang out here?
Yeah, sure. I'm just recording. Yeah. So you can ignore me. And that's all I have, you guys. So I will load this up. Yeah. What you got? Fourth period.
Oh.